Okay, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. And today we are going to, as always, try to get to the essence of some really fascinating material. And this time we are looking at something pretty fundamental when you say this whole idea of making assumptions.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like it underpins so much of how we operate. And the sources we're looking at this time are really interesting. They kind of frame it as like an agreement we make with ourselves about how the world works.
Yeah, like it's almost a subconscious agreement.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so deeply ingrained that we don't even realize we're doing it half the time.
Right.
So in this deep dive, we really want to explore the why. Why do we make these assumptions? Where does that come from? And then what are the problems that come from that? Like, are we really just setting ourselves up for conflict and misunderstanding and all that?
Yeah.
And then the really interesting part, how do we move beyond that? How do we break free from this habit of assuming and get to a place where we're communicating more clearly and creating less drama in our lives?
More peacefully, for sure.
Exactly. More
Yeah.
peacefully. And, I think everyone listening can probably relate to this. I know I certainly can. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where maybe you had a disagreement with someone or you felt really hurt or offended by something they did or said,
Yeah.
and then later you found out that you had totally misinterpreted the situation?
Oh, so many times, all the time.
Right, like you had built this whole story in your head based on your assumptions,
Exactly.
and it turned out to be completely wrong.
Yeah. And the material we're looking at really nails it when it says, we could swear they are real. It's like
It,
our assumptions become these solid facts in our minds.
it's so true. It's as if we can't even distinguish between what we've made up and what actually happened.
Right. And the consequences of that can be huge. We start reacting to these assumptions as if they're the absolute truth. Maybe we feel betrayed or angry, or we judge someone's character based on something we've basically just invented.
And that's when the source talks about this emotional poison starting to seep in.
Yeah, I love that phrase, emotional poison.
Me too.
Hmm.
It's so powerful because it really captures how damaging this can be, not just to ourselves, but to our relationships as well. And it's not just limited to these kind of small-scale personal conflicts either, is it?
No, not at all. The source even goes as far as to say that those larger conflicts we see in the world, you know, wars, violence, that whole war of control between humans, as it puts it, even those are often rooted in assumptions.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty mind-blowing idea when you think about it.
It is. What's even more fascinating is that the source connects this to our own internal struggles as well,
Yeah.
to what it calls our dream of hell.
The internal battle.
Right? Like this inner turmoil we create for ourselves is fueled by assumptions and taking things personally.
And you can really see how that plays out in everyday life, can't you? Think about how many arguments escalate because each person is operating from a completely different set of assumptions about what the other person is thinking or feeling.
Oh, for sure. And then we take it personally and we feel hurt or attacked, and it just spirals out of control.
Yeah, the source describes it as this pattern. First, you make the assumption, then comes the misunderstanding. Then you take it personally, and boom, you've got all this drama unfolding.
Such a common pattern.
And it's also unnecessary.
Right. And the source actually points to gossip as a major way we reinforce these assumptions.
Oh, interesting.
It's like we're looking for validation for our made-up stories.
Right, trying to confirm our biases.
Exactly. And the source even calls this the dream of wrong. Like we get caught up in this collective
Oh,
delusion.
that's such a good way to put it.
And the crazy thing is, the alternative is so simple. The source says all we need to do is ask questions.
Haha. Oh, it's easier said than done, though, isn't it?
Oh, totally. It sounds so basic, but in the heat of the moment, it can be so hard to stop and ask for clarification.
Especially when we're feeling emotional.
Yeah, we're so quick to react, to jump to conclusions.
And the Force actually offers an explanation for why that is. It talks about the big mitote within the human mind.
Big me toad. What is that?
It's like this constant chaos, this internal chatter that's always going on in our heads.
Oh, okay, I get that.
And this big mitote, the source says, leads to all sorts of misinterpretations. It's like our minds are filtering everything through our existing beliefs and assumptions.
It's like we're only seeing what we want to see.
Exactly. And the source even says that we dream things up with no basis in reality. We create these elaborate scenarios in our minds just to try and make sense of things.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Me too.
It gives this great example of walking through a mall and seeing someone you find attractive smile at you.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly you're imagining this whole romantic
The
relationship.
wedding, the kids, the whole 9 yards.
Right. And the source points out that this entire fantasy exists only in your head. It has nothing to do with reality.
It's pure projection.
Exactly. And this tendency to make up stories can be especially tricky in relationships.
Oh, for sure. The source says making assumptions in relationships is really asking for trouble.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because there's this common assumption that our partners should just know what we want and need, even if we never actually tell them.
Oh, that should-know thing can be so dangerous.
It is. And when our partners inevitably fail to meet these unspoken expectations, we feel hurt and resentful.
The source gives the example of going into a marriage with all these assumptions about what married life will be like.
Yeah, like a fairy tale.
Right.
Right.
And then you discover that your partner has a completely different vision.
It can be a rude awakening.
It can be.
Yeah.
And the source points out that this often leads to conflict because neither person has actually communicated their expectations clearly.
It's like expecting your partner to be a mind reader.
It is. And
Yeah.
it just creates all this unnecessary drama and tension.
So why are we so prone to making these assumptions in the first place? The source suggests it has to do with this deep-seated need for certainty.
To feel safe.
Exactly. Our minds are constantly trying to find answers, even if those answers are wrong.
Just to make sense of the world.
Right. And assumptions provide a quick and easy, even if inaccurate, way to do that.
And the source also points out that we often make assumptions because we're afraid to ask questions.
It's true.
Like we're afraid of looking stupid or vulnerable.
Yeah. Or maybe we're afraid of the answer.
And then there's that whole assumption that if someone really loves us, they should just know what we're thinking and feeling.
Yeah, without us having to say a word.
Like they should be able to read our minds.
Exactly. And that's a recipe for disappointment.
It is.
Yeah.
Because no one can truly know what's going on inside another person's head.
We're not mind readers.
Right. And then when our assumptions are challenged, the source says we tend to get defensive.
We dig in our heels.
Yeah, and we try to protect our version of reality, even if it's causing harm to the relationship.
We're so attached to being right.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And speaking of assumptions, the source actually highlights what it calls the biggest assumption of all.
Ooh, what's that?
The assumption that everyone sees the world the same way we do.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like, that everyone thinks and feels and reacts the same way we would in a given situation.
And that's just not true, is it?
Not at all. Everyone has their own unique perspective, their own way of experiencing the world.
And when we fail to recognize that, it can create all sorts of problems.
It can. It can lead to misunderstandings, to judgments, to a lack of empathy. And the source points out that this assumption can even prevent us from being our true selves.
Because we're so worried about being judged or rejected.
Exactly. We're afraid to express ourselves authentically because we're projecting our own fears and insecurities onto others.
And this applies to the assumptions we make about ourselves as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. We can have all sorts of limiting beliefs about ourselves. We might overestimate our abilities or underestimate our potential.
We tell ourselves stories about who we are and what we're capable of.
And those stories aren't always based in reality.
No, not at all. And the source specifically talks about assumptions we make in romantic relationships.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Like the classic one, my love will change this person.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is. And the source emphasizes that real change comes from within. You can't force someone to change who they are just because you love them.
If someone's going to change, they have to want to change.
Exactly. And ignoring red flags or trying to justify someone's bad behavior based on the assumption that your love will magically fix them, that's a recipe for disaster.
It's like setting yourself up for heartbreak.
It is. So what does the source say about real love and acceptance?
Well, it defines real love as accepting people as they are without trying to change them.
Without conditions.
Exactly. And it suggests finding someone you don't feel the need to change, someone who accepts you fully for who you are.
That sounds like a pretty good recipe for a healthy relationship.
It does. And the source talks about establishing clear, impeccable agreements in relationships.
What does that mean, impeccable agreements?
It means being honest and upfront about your needs and expectations from the very beginning.
No more playing games.
Right. And the source even suggests taking a take-it-or-leave-it approach.
Oh, that sounds kind of harsh.
It might sound that way,
Huh.
but it's actually about being authentic and setting boundaries.
Okay, I get that.
It's about saying, this is who I am, and these are my non-negotiables.
No more pretending to be someone you're not.
Exactly. And this leads us to the big question. How do we break free from this habit of making assumptions?
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it?
It is, and the source is very clear on this. The solution is to ask questions.
Again, easier said than done.
I know. But the source really emphasizes the importance of having the courage to ask for clarification, even if it feels uncomfortable.
It's about being willing to be vulnerable.
It is. And the source reminds us that we have the right to ask questions, and the other person has the right to answer honestly.
It's a two-way street.
It is. And when we shift from making assumptions to asking questions, our communication becomes so much clearer.
And less emotionally charged.
The source calls it clean and clear, free of emotional poison.
Oh, I love that.
Me too. And it says that our word becomes impeccable.
We're using language to create understanding instead of confusion.
Exactly. And this applies to all our relationships, not just romantic ones.
Yeah, it's about communicating more clearly with everyone in our lives.
With our families, our friends, our colleagues.
It could transform the world, couldn't it?
The source actually suggests that it could.
Yeah.
It says that if we could all learn to communicate with impeccability of the word, we could solve so many of the world's problems.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful idea.
So let's just recap here. The third agreement is don't make assumptions.
Simple, but not easy.
Right. Because as we've been talking about, this habit of making assumptions is so deeply ingrained.
It's like it's wired into our brains.
It is, but the source emphasizes that awareness is the first step.
Recognizing that we do this, that we make these assumptions all the time.
And then we have to make a conscious effort to change our behavior.
To choose to ask questions instead of assuming.
The source uses this really cool metaphor of the black magician and the white magician.
Oh, tell me about that.
It says that when we make assumptions, we're acting like black magicians, using our words to create negativity and drama.
And the white magician.
The white magician uses words for creation, for sharing, for love.
So by choosing not to make assumptions, we're choosing to be white magicians.
Exactly. And the source says that this one agreement, this one change in our behavior, can transform our entire experience of life.
Wow.
Yeah, it can shift our whole dream, as it puts it. It can make our lives so much more peaceful and joyful.
Because we're no longer creating all this unnecessary suffering for ourselves and others.
And it's not just about our external lives either, is it?
No, the source connects this to our own internal state as well.
To our sense of peace and well-being.
Exactly. And it even ties this to the Toltec path to personal freedom.
It's about mastering our minds and our emotions.
It's about choosing love over fear.
And choosing connection over separation.
So for you listening, the key takeaway here is this.
Mhm.
Making assumptions is a habit that can cause a lot of unnecessary pain and conflict in your life.
It can really mess things up.
It can, but the good news is you have the power to change this habit.
You can choose to be a white magician.
Exactly. And it starts with becoming aware of when you're making assumptions.
And then having the courage to ask questions.
To seek clarification instead of jumping to conclusions.
And remember, you have the right to ask, and the other person has the right to answer honestly.
So here's the challenge for you. Think about one area of your life or one relationship where you suspect that assumptions might be causing some problems.
Maybe it's with your partner or a family member or friend.
And ask yourself, what's one question I could ask to start clearing things up?
Just one question.
It might feel a little scary, but it could make a huge difference.
It could be the start of a whole new way of relating.
It could. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it's given you some food for thought.